So this week in the cricket, there seems to be a theme. It wasn't by design, about Proposition 2.5. I don't know. I haven't thought about Proposition 2.5 for a while. Have you guys? Do you guys come
Not
across?
since the last school override in Rockport, which that I was involved in, and we just had another one. But yes, it's always about a school override, right?
Or a fire truck.
Or a fire truck, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when Proposition 2.5 first came through. It came through in the 80s, I think it was, with Barbara Anderson. I was at the Salem Evening News. She was in Marblehead. She was a Marblehead person. What was it? Was called like Citizens for Taxation, Limited Taxations. I think that's what it's called actually. So she single-handedly put through and lobbied to. She was a fiscal hawk and lobbied to get a new law, in which we now all live with, which is you can't increase your municipal spending in any year more than 2.5% without going back to the town voters and asking them for a specific override. For the school, for things like that. It's supposed to be for exceptional things. And so this week, it's come up twice for us, once in Manchester and once in Essex. And it's really interesting. Number one, we have an op-ed piece written by William Shipman. He's lived in the town. He's a longtime resident, been here since the 70s, former FinCom guy, total fiscal hawk. But put it this way, his career, his profession has been devoted to writing about Social Security reform for the Rand Institute. So it's the Rand Institute, Corey, it's like I think it's like a paradise. It's a libertarian's paradise.
Yep, that is.
It's a think tank in Washington that believes we should spend nothing on anything and there should be no social safety nets. I'm sure they would not like that characterization, but it's basically like that. They're fiscal hawks. So it's really about sensible spending. And he actually wrote a very thoughtful piece, and this, now I'll be serious. He wrote a very thoughtful piece about Manchester, and he said, Manchester has a spending problem. And he did analysis from the DOR and looked at per capita spending for Manchester versus all the area towns. It was very interesting. But he also mentioned in it that overrides for Manchester is not occasional. That in the last 24 years, I don't know why he took 24 years, by the way. Why not 25 or 20, but whatever. Maybe the numbers were proper for that. But in the last 24 years, we have had 32 overrides. And they total $71 million. So I'm not talking about a little thing. Now, it's very interesting. In all fairness to the town, I noticed that when I looked at all the overrides, one of them was for the Manchester Memorial School. That's nearly $33 million. And we're going to have a brand new spanky school this summer, which I'm sure we'll be looking at over the next several months. So that was $33 million. And then there was another line item, water and sewer. $19 million over like 10 or 12 overrides over the last 24 years. $19 million. So those two things alone, $49 million. Right. So it's not really, I mean, the water and sewer alone, that's responding to, it's upgrading the water and sewer. It was also about pipes. And then it was also about a mass DEP order to upgrade our sewer system because of influx, because we had a big problem. We were on the verge of getting fined $25,000 a day. So this isn't, here's my point. This isn't categories that are like, oh, we want to override for our coffee budget at the town hall.
Yeah, but police need a tank.
It's not like we're spending like drunken sailors in that way. But that does leave $20 or so million of spending that could be looked at. And it was a really interesting thing. And it's budget season, so now's the time to think about these things. Separately though, and this is interesting because it's not planned. Do you know for the last 6 weeks, I've been watching the Essex BOS starting to percolate with Guy Bradford. You remember Guy Bradford won last year, and he ran on school transparency with the school budgeting process, the district budget, which is a big part of our operational budget every year. Or is it called an operational budget? But it's a big part of each town's budget. He's now kind of made his move with the FinCom, and the BOS has initiated a conversation about wanting the school district to stay within Proposition 2.5 standards. That's new because the budget typically goes over that and we go for an override. Heather, the way you said, schools are usually sort of the override.
Right, they're the most common ones, right?
Yeah, so that's happened, and I heard, just recently, as in the last couple of days, from Greg Federspiel, he confirmed that in early March, so very soon, a couple of weeks, they're planning a joint meeting with both BOS, with Manchester and Essex BOS members, the FinComs of both towns and the school district, school committee getting together, all together in one meeting. And the idea is, A, can the school district live within, is it realistic that they live within a Proposition 2.5 world? But the second thing is really looking at 2023, that fiscal year for them, and getting it to that place by then. I know that that's the Essex goal. So it's really interesting. I mean, it's an interesting process. It's people say, well, the budget's not interesting. I think it is.
So interesting to watch two towns maneuver one school district, right? And how to figure that out.
Well, here's the interesting thing. Couple BOS meetings ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I think it was like 2 or 3, and in Essex, all three of them, you've got Ruth Perrine, who's the chairman, you've got Peter Phippen, and then Guy Bradford. Guy Bradford didn't speak very much because he didn't have to. Peter Phippen said, listen, I'm quoting him now. He said, listen, we've already cut through fat. We're going into muscle. This is like, they've been trying this. And then he also said at the same time, people move here because we have a great school district. And that's the attraction. So you better be careful, right? And then Ruth Perrine, almost like good cop, bad cop. It's almost like they coordinated it. She chimed in and she said, yes, but these are escalating prices. And this is our, these are taxes. And it's really hard for for some of our residents to sustain this. And so that laid out in one conversation and one exchange. It laid out the issues. Perfect.
All the issues. Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Erika, we have big news regarding today's public forum.
Yes. We've been talking for a while about the planning board, haven't we? It's been one of those kind of interesting kind of things. Well, it's all coming to a head with one of the things that they've been really addressing. That is the LCD, the Limited Commercial District, which, as you know, is on the other side of 128 in Upper School Street. So that's exit 15. The Manchester Athletic Club, that kind of area of it. That limited part of the Limited Commercial District for the 40R, which is how are they going to develop and monetize per the master plan to get more income. Well, a lot of the planning board members, 2 of them in particular, have been saying, we want details, we want details. What are you talking about? What are the projections? And it's been hard because there hasn't been any, it's a chicken and the egg thing, right? And by the way, 40R is one possible way of getting there, but there's other ways. It's not like all or nothing. So guess what? Tonight at this forum, they're going to have the owner of the Manchester Athletic Club, which I think is 60 acres of that property. And then you have an industrial park there. The Brady Industrial Park is another, I think 10 acres. They're gonna follow along with whatever the Manchester Athletic Club. The owner of the athletic club is coming with renderings for development for the ideas that he has that include kind of an elderly housing facility. I hope I'm getting that right. And then wellness services and a hotel. So that's kind of interesting. And then they're also having 2 other people who are connected to development. The owner of a property across the street, which is doggy daycare, has a dog run up there. It's like 3 or 4 acres. And then a man who has been not an owner, but he's a consultant who's been working with a biotech company who wants to make their headquarters there or one of their offices. So all that, and they have the assessor who has done all this crunching on what that would mean for the town. So they're going to get exactly what they wanted all this time.
But over off Atwater.
All off Atwater. So this is all just imagining options, but it's really specific and it's got the players who are coming to the table. It promises to be I think it's going to be a really interesting exchange. And again, it's not real. It's really weird to get specifics on something that's just an idea.
Right. And this is a public forum tonight. And my guess is with all of the interest in this kind of thing and with all the stuff that Bill Shipman was talking about, sort of money and revenue, it's going to have a lot of takers. Yeah.
Great stuff as always from Manchester Cricket editor Erika Brown. You might want to check out this week's edition, Pulitzer-worthy material.
Oh, yes.
Has a cricket ever gotten a Pulitzer before, Erika?
We're going for it with this.
This may be it.
This is amazing because, Corey, you did an amazing job sort of on this story that you had done for 1623 on Timeline, which was the great heist in Magnolia at the Oceanside Hotel. we did a piece, or you did a piece for us with kind of new refreshed images that were contributed from Beth Wellen from the Manchester Historical Museum. And it came out so well. Unsolved crime of a jewelry heist of today's money, more than $6 million in 1934, when Magnolia was sort of this very posh destination for the rich and wealthy. In one day, knocked off, and it didn't get attention because it happened during the time of John Dillinger and Bonnie and Clyde. I mean, is that amazing? What
It's amazing. Yeah.
In our backyard.
Yeah,
I loved reading
it's crazy.
it.
Yeah, it's an amazing story, and it was awesome to work on and learn about. And the cool thing is that story happens because the daughter of one of the victims in the robbery, who is unhurt, so don't worry about that, is still alive and living in Magnolia. And she tapped my shoulder and said, "Hey, did you know about this?" And it's unbelievable.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what you're referring to, which is tap on the shoulder. It's funny you should use that word, because her son, right, was 16 years old. He got tapped on the shoulder because he was polishing silver in the back. He turns around and there's a machine gun in his face.
Yeah.
Boom.
Her dad.
This is her dad.
Oh, it was her father. Sorry, not her son. My God.
1934, Erika. Yeah.
Yeah, no, just trying to keep it straight there. But no, it's an amazing local story. And then, I mean, I think very few people knew that this jewelry heist happened. And then there are national implications for the whole thing, right?
I think it's got all the color and all the relevance of something that is a national story for sure.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And the other thing, Heather, that I doubt most people don't know is what Magnolia was back then. If you see the images of this hotel and you see Magnolia today, it's almost impossible to imagine that being there.
Yeah, it literally rivaled Saks Fifth
hotels.
Avenue. It was Tiffany's was there, Filene's, like it's crazy. And I grew up in Magnolia, and there was nothing like that when I was growing up there in the 70s and 80s and 90s, you know?
I tell people there was a Saks Fifth Avenue on Lexington Avenue, and they just say, what? They don't believe it.
Well, this jewelry store that it had, that sort of inventory is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually apparently very common in Manchester as well, and in Magnolia, where they would have outposts of very famous high-end stores from Boston. They would have these sort of outposts up here to service the Tony wealthy people.
Right, because on Wednesdays you buy jewelry, right? And if you're summering up here, what are you going to do?
So check that out if you can. Yeah, that was really awesome stuff. And we love the fact that we're strengthening the partnership between 1623 and the Manchester Cricket. And because we'll also be sharing more, hopefully, Heather Atwood, wink, wink, in the cricket soon. Yeah. And we have a lot more to talk about.
I don't want to extend it, but along that line is you had a great cover of the Gloucester Times and how they covered it then too. Yeah. And I just think that's spectacular. I mean, their archive must be amazing.
Yeah, the big tip of the cap to Sawyer Free Library for getting us those archives too. The whole story amazingly gets wrapped up in like 3 weeks. That's just like, we can't figure this out. We can't find them. Goodbye. Yeah. Enjoy.
Wonder why. But Corey has another great story coming up. It'll actually, outdo the jewelry heist.
I don't know. That's a tough one, but yeah, we'll share that soon. Thanks, Erika.
Thank you. Bye, guys.